Yes, I I also agree that Damyanov is an amazing person. Um, and just to introduce the way, I mean, I've known him, I feel, forever. One time I was in Chicago, I contacted the people in the Paneurhythmy group in Chicago, and they said, yeah, yeah, Damyan will pick you up. So he came to my hotel early in the morning, some ungodly hour, 6 o'clock or something. And there was no problem for me to come from wherever that is outside of Chicago to pick me up and bring me to Paneurhythmy. We stayed in touch, but then 2 years ago, we were at Rila Mountain, and with me was my friend Nancy. And one evening, she started walking back from the camp at the top to the chalet by herself. And I said, I'll be right after you. But then somebody started talking to me that I haven't seen 30 years. And so we took different paths. And 9 o'clock came at night, and uh, she wasn't back. And then I called Sophie. She was in a tent up at the camp with all the brothers and sisters. So she went and talked to Damyan and another brother. So what they did is, after it was almost 10 o'clock, they started a search and rescue party. And they went down the mountain. They approximately know what is the path that people take when they get lost, because they know the mountain very well. For me, it was very scary to think about going by myself and look for her. So they were shouting her name. They had a flashlight just in case she sees them and she can shout back where she is and so on. But the interesting thing is, it took about 2 hours, but they found her and they brought her to the chalet. I was so upset. I was praying and I'm like, oh no, my God, it's the first time she comes here. I brought her here. What happens if she really gets lost? What happens if something happens to her? But Damyan and another brother brought her to the chalet. It was now past midnight. And he picks up the guitar, he starts playing What a Wonderful World, Louis Armstrong. And then he starts playing a Beatles song, The Sunshine. Here comes the sunshine. And I'm like, these people, he's like a Jedi, he's not afraid of anything, going, around the mountain and searching and rescuing people. Uh, Fortunately, Nancy is an awakened soul, so she was praying the whole time. She says she wasn't cold, although I can tell you it was freezing outside. But after that, although I asked the manager, they could have stayed at the hotel. He said, oh, we have duty in the morning at 4 o'clock. We are in the kitchen. We have to be up there. And that's like a 45 minutes walk during the day. And at night, you can imagine, you can just like jump up the mountain. So that's what they did. They actually went back up. They didn't sleep that night. And the next day, they did their duty. And we saw them at Paneurhythmy at 10 o'clock in the morning. So just to confirm, Ardella, what you started saying about the help. And then last summer, a lady from Israel contacted me that she will be on Rila on August 6th. So I contacted everyone that I knew, many Paneurhythmy teachers, if they're there, if they can show them the movements in the chalet and show them around the mountain. And then I couldn't find anyone, so I texted him and I said, are you on Rila? not only he went there, he sent them prayers, he took them around, he taught them the movement. So he like adopted them, so to speak, into the brotherhood. So I have very, very amazing and amazing experiences, and I really think he's one of those Jedi people.
He's like an angel in human form. He responds
Absolutely,
so
absolutely.
immediately and powerfully to any call for any spiritual call for help.
Yeah, absolutely. So now I will share my screen and share my presentation. Okay, let me know if you can see my screen. I just want to make sure I'm recording. Am I recording? Yes, I am recording. Okay, beautiful. If all of you can mute, please, that would be great. Okay, great. I first of all, this lecture was on in August last year, 24. I wanted to bring this beautiful image of the fifth lake at Rila Mountain. When we dance somewhere here. First, we dance up near the Trefoil Lake, but towards the August 19th, towards the big spiritual New Year celebration, we dance actually here. So, because this is all about the Paneurhythmy, I thought bringing all these different worlds together, but also the place where thousands of people dance. There are years when we have 2,000 to 3,000 people dancing in 3 and 4 circles. It would be great. Today is February 22nd, and as I talked to Damyan, he was not able to be here. He is very busy, but he promised, because he had prepared a lot of materials after giving this lecture on Rila Mountain, and this is one of the screenshots from the video that was taken. He prepared many more materials, so he will give the lecture sometime October, November. We'll organize a Zoom meeting. And this, what we're going to talk about today, is only like an introduction, okay? And I want to remind you what he thought would be the inspiration for this lecture. So he says, one thought that led me to explore these interconnections is the master's statement to Vesela Nestorova. And this statement is, Paneurhythmy is the wheel of immortality, which means we cannot simply look at Paneurhythmy as 3 separate sections. First section, meaning the first 28 exercises, which is the physical world. The second, which is sun rays or sunbeams, which is the spiritual world. And the third one, pentagram, is the divine world. Instead, they form a perfect equilateral triangle or a wheel or even a hologram, where each part contains the essence of the others. Every element of the first part is embedded in the second and third, and vice versa. So there is a YouTube link if you want to hear the original. You can always set the closed captions to translate and select English or Spanish or Polish or whichever language you prefer. And it's pretty good, actually. The translation is pretty good. AI in the good form has come a long way in translation. So let me touch upon what are the key ideas here. First of all, that paneurhythmy is the wheel of immortality and has interwoven concepts and ideas across the physical, spiritual, and divine worlds. And then I'll talk about the musical correspondences that Damyan points to. And then also energy flows. To me, this was a revelation of how he explains it. I can feel it, but explaining it and understanding it is a whole different level. Can I ask you to please mute yourself? Let's see who is. Everybody is muted now. Okay, thank you. Yes, perfect. So these energy flows, and then also the interconnections between the cycle first day of spring and also the connections to the pentagram. And we'll talk a little bit of mathematics, the golden ratio, and how it's represented in paneurhythmy. This is a picture from his notebook of how he got inspired and wrote it down that he shared with me. It's in Bulgarian, so let's go over it in English. But first of all, I'm going to say this in Bulgarian. Истината с постоянна реалност е оная, която важи едновременно и за трите свята – физическия, духовния и божествения. So, what it means in English, and I hope it's close translation, truth with constant reality, meaning truth within the continuous reality is the one which applies simultaneously to all three worlds, the physical, the spiritual, and the divine. This is what the master said. And now, what is true on all of these three different levels is manifesting in paneurhythmy. So as a subtitle, so we have the cycle, the first day of spring, where we are sowing the seed of the fruits of the spirit, and that is the pentagram. Also here in the high-level concepts is the third fundamental principle of paneurhythmy, which states there are connections between tone, form, movement, color, number, and idea. So here, if we have in two columns pentagram and the first day of spring, there is a nice excerpt, quote from the Bible, Galatians, which says, "But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faith, gentleness, self-control. Against such things there is no law." And it is very simple but very powerful. It's like a grain of wheat, if you will. And then what is it that we sing in the pentagram? We sing Ето веч идем ни светлозарни лъчи. Behold, we come now, radiant beams of light. Царски дар носим благ, радост, мир и любов. Bearing a royal gift, goodness, joy, peace, and love. So these are important words, and I'll explain in relationship to these different worlds. So, and then what are we saying in the first day of spring? The first day of spring, the first day of joy, when we sing Prvia den na proleta, prvia den na radosta, prvia den na ljubovta, nosiet sila I život. The first day of spring, the first day of joy, the first day of love brings strength and life. Now, if we are to, where is my music? Let's go to the full screen player, and if we go back, now let's go to the full screen player. And I don't know why is it that I cannot see the titles of the songs, but I know the durations, okay? Aha, the durations. And now we exited Paneurhythmy. What happens if I start playing now? Is it gonna go? Yes, first day of spring. I just want to remind you of the song.
We're not hearing anything.
It's here.
There it goes.
Okay, so that's the first day of spring. Do we have musicians who can sing this? I can sing, but I'm always kind of shy to sing. Anyone from the group who would like to sing Prvia den na proleta?
I can sing it in English, but I can't really sing it in Bulgarian.
Okay, that's fine. Please do. Just the first verse.
Okay. Rise, awaken, spring is here. Open your door to daylight clear. Fullness of life for everything brings the first bright day of spring. Brings the first bright day of spring.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. So, so you see, we are talking here about joy and love that bring strength and life. So now, if we talk about the three worlds, we are talking about love and joy, just like here. The first day of joy, the first day of love, and they bring sila I život. They bring power and life. And together, they actually bring the peace. So that's kind of the three words that have the highest relationship with the divine world. Then in the spiritual world, we have patience, kindness, and mercy. So dolgotrpenie, blagost I milosrdie. And then in the physical world, faith, humility, and self-control, as the Master Ben Sadhuno says. So these are the concepts that relate to the three worlds. Another thing that the Master says is that in the physical world, so in Paneurhythmy, we have shapes, forms, and movement, right? In the spiritual world, because Paneurhythmy has music, we have the music and the tonalities. And as you will see, we work with the tonalities as well. And then in the divine world, we work with thoughts, with the word, colors, and light. And he always says there is the father, the mother, and the child. So in a way, when we have all of these virtues in a single column, so we have love, patience, and faith representing the father, joy, kindness, and humility representing the mother, and then peace, mercy, and self-control representing the son, meaning the child or daughter. Okay, so when we talk about joy, peace, and love in the pentagram, we are referring to the divine world. Okay, so this is the relationship, both in words. And now I'll explain what is the next concept that Damyan came up with. The next relationship is the scales. Okay. So in the pentagram, we start with C major. Yes? Any questions? Is anybody asking questions? Okay, then I'll mute. So the first day of spring is actually in A minor. And the pentagram is actually in C major. If we switch to the notes of the pentagram, as you see here, so this is a notation which was given by Philip Stoitsev. It's actually for, I believe, 2 violins and a guitar. So here we have C. We start with C. We say, here we are. We're going forward. We are radiant beams. We are bringing a royal gift. But this royal gift is actually a divine gift. Radost, which is joy, mir is peace, and love. So it's a little bit, so we start with Radost, which is the middle, this component. If we go back, so we have joy, Radost, mir и любовь. So joy, peace, and love. Okay. So then, as the pentagram continues, there is a point at which C major switches to C minor, right? And so there is a relationship to this, and actually C minor is one of those tonalities where the master says C minor is actually a tonality of the inner light. So, for example, the song Ide, 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 Santo Ide, 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 we know this song, is written in C minor. It has that kind of inner quality. So now, And if we go back to the top, if I go back to the beginning of Paneurhythmy, so the first day of spring, the tonality, so it starts with A minor. Of course, there is a G and C, I think if we have musicians who want to add a little bit more on the structure between these tonalities, because in music there is like 1, 4, and 5, so I think that would be great. And then every single one of these exercises going forward is in a tonality which has a relationship, which I will focus on next. Let's come back here. So the first point is that it's like a mirroring between the first day of spring, which is in A minor, and C major, which is the tonality of the pentagram. It's as if there is a seed that's planted in the first day of spring that then ripens and comes as the fruits of the spirit, right? So if we see this is the first day of spring, these are tonalities for each of the songs in the first day of spring. So awakening is in A minor, and then reconciliation is in C major, but it also has A minor. And then giving and receiving is in C major, and then it's these two, 4 and 5, are elevating songs. They're in A major. So there are 3 sharps here. Then there is the 6th, 7th, and 8th exercises, which starts with the opening, is called also Sanzi, or here the beautiful day is born. And then the 9th exercise is actually the purification. It's in A minor, and the 10th is in A minor. So it talks about the first day of spring, but as the world, as it evolves, at the end we are talking about Novie Svetel Den, meaning the new bright day is born, the new day of spring. So why is this so? Because we dance Paneurhythmy not only on the first day of spring, we are recreating that first day every single day. Every single day is that new day. Okay? And these are the tonalities within the pentagram, because we are dancing it 5 times. So this is one major point that Damyan brings. I want to actually demonstrate, which he demonstrated on the guitar, but I'll try to demonstrate on the piano. I don't know if I can put a spotlight. Where is the spotlight? Blur the view, mute audio, stop video. Yeah, okay, here we go. So let's see if I can do this. Maybe I'll do it this way. So to understand this relationship, can you see it? Okay. So this is C. Okay. I don't know if you are seeing the mirror, but so we have the C major scale, which goes, if I go for 2 octaves, and if Tony is here, my teacher, thank you so much for teaching me. So So that's a C major scale. Now, if we play the parallel minor scale, so that would be C major is the beginning of the pentagram. So, but now here just the feeling of the A minor scale. So that's the parallel. So it's the same notes, but now instead of half tone between third and fourth and seventh and eighth, now we have half tone between second and third and fifth and sixth note. Okay, that's one difference, but you can see how it's as if A minor is within C major scale. So that's why we call the first day of spring, it's like the seed of the full apple, meaning the pentagram. And the other thing is, in the pentagram, there is a C minor scale, which has 3 flats. So it goes like this. You see, it sounds like it comes from the soul, has that very inward and very sacred feeling already in the tonality. So I'll play it again. And that is the tonality when we are in the pentagram and we are actually exchanging, when we are exchanging inside the pentagram, when we are exchanging places, but we are basically exchanging the virtues. Okay, I have a drawing and I will show it now. Okay, let me share my screen again. And how do I remove the spotlight? Removing the spotlight. Aha, remove pin. There we go. All right. And I share my screen. Okay, so on a musical level, they're connected. On a divine level, they're connected. But there is something else going on, which is the connection with the energies in our spiritual bodies. So I wanted to bring up this very nice drawing that I got from Total Health Systems. And many of you are familiar, but I'll just review the chakras, the 7 chakras. So the first one, the root chakra, and it's in color red here, is Muladhara. And then the sacral chakra, Svadhisthana. And then the solar plexus chakra, Manipura. Heart chakra is Anahata. Throat chakra, Vishuddha. And then the third eye chakra, Ajna. And then the crown chakra, or the 1,000-leaf chakra, Sahasrara. In Paneurhythmy, as you will see, on an energetic level, we work, of course, with all the notes and different tonalities throughout Paneurhythmy. However, it's important to notice that there is quite a bit of focus on the root chakra, the life chakra, and also the heart chakra, which is here in green, and also the third eye chakra. The Master Ben Saduno says the root chakra is related to the note C, Do. The heart chakra, the Christ chakra, is related to the note F, Fa, and the eye chakra, the third eye chakra, is related to the note A. So this is an explanation. So now I'll walk you through this. So we go of this energy flow on C, F, and A level. And when we dance, I don't know if you can see this human figure here. You see a human figure that is drawn in pencil. Can you see it? Okay. So it is, this human being is facing us. And that's why, so this is the right leg. So when the movement is made with the right leg, we're stepping into an energy flow which is spiral and is going upward. So it's going from the earth to the sun. And at the same time, while it's going up, it's going back to the creator, right? It's going back to the sun. So this is an evolutionary flow, right? So now imagine these are energies that flow all the time. Whether we want it or not, this is how nature works. But when we are in paneurhythmy, when we do these movements, we are intentionally stepping into these energy flows, and we are taking that enormous power and the blessings from all of these energy flows. Okay? So these flows are within us. So from the first 5 movements in paneurhythmy, 5 movements within, meaning within the first day of spring. This flow, because we start with the right foot, it's actually signified with blue here. It's the blue flow going up. We start with the legs, which are connected to the base chakra, the foundation, the root chakra. But because the flow is upward, we are going towards the sky. Nebe means sky. And here we work with the positive energy, so the potential is positive. The flow is positive. Like in electromagnetic sense, it's positive. So this is the chakra related to the legs. Here, because the movements are at the level of the chest and also with our hands, these are the hands. And then with our gaze, we are looking up, right? This is the arrow here. So we are working, when we look up, we're working actually with the third eye chakra. So at the same time, when we tap into these energy flows, we are activating and harmonizing both on a musical level, but also movement-wise, these energy flows going towards the sun. And this is because in the first 5 movements, we step forward first with the right foot. But then something happens in the opening on the 19th measure. We start to open with the left foot. So what happens then is the energy because we are going with the left foot first, this energy now starts to go from the sun back to the earth. Okay, so this is why these 2 type of movements, the master says upward, forward, to the right side, and inward, they're all the same, basically. All of these movements are connected with the energy flow going to the sun. And it represents the masculine principle, while downward, back, to the left, and outward is actually the flow going from the sun back to the earth. So when we dance the first day of spring, we're experiencing both flows. And because we go right leg, left leg, even in the first 10 movements, these flows are happening at the same time within our body. Okay, so here, though, these are, because we step first with the left leg. So again, because this person, this human being is looking at us, this is their right and this is their left. So this flow goes downward, meaning from the sun to the earth. This is negative potential in electromagnetic sense. Okay, but because we keep our gaze upward, the third eye, the chakra is actually positively, still has a positive flow. This is another picture of the same concept. And I now want to say something about the energy flow. So while in first day of spring, we have both this energy flow that goes counterclockwise, right? And this energy flow is actually clockwise. Now, in the pentagram, and here we have a depiction of the pentagram, and I just want to remind you, so when we dance the pentagram, first there are 10 people, there are 5 couples, and the movement is counterclockwise. Then at some point we are forming the pentagram as five couples. So then we form these endpoints of each of the race, right? And then there is an adjustment step and so on. But then is what I call enlivening of the pentagram. So when we move within the pentagram and when we are exchanging these virtues of the pentagram, meaning love, wisdom, truth, justice, and all the other virtues, then the movement here is clockwise. So that's another similarity, that within the same song we have both a rightward movement, meaning we are going in the energy flows up. It's from the earth to the sun. So then this second energy flow is clockwise. So it's from the sun to the earth, meaning we are grounding all of these nice virtues that are encoded in the pentagram. And as you remember, we have the blue ray of truth that goes from the leg to the head, the green ray of justice that goes from the head to the right leg, the pink ray of love that goes from the right leg to the left arm, and then we have the yellow ray of wisdom that goes from left to the right arm. And then when we finish the cycle, when the sun rays are marching forward, we go again counterclockwise. So we start with a counterclockwise movement together, and by then, if you look from above, from the sky, it's a very powerful movement that goes from the earth to the sun. We exchange virtues, so we are bringing all of that immense energy down from the sun to the earth, and then we finish again when we're marching forward in counterclockwise manner, means we're moving the energy towards the sun. This is now in the notebook. What he wrote is actually how many measures are there for each of the songs in the first day of spring. Okay, and there is a point that within, so it's the number of measures, but the big point here is that in the first 5 movements, so 40 plus 30, 34, 26 plus 26 plus 19, it's actually 175. Okay? And then in the second, from 6th through 10th movement, after the measure 19, it's 174. Now, if we just look at the first 3, which is the awakening, the reconciliation, and the giving, there are 104 movements. The middle part is actually San Z. Remember, those are, it's the same melody, but different lyrics and different movements. Then this 174 over 104 is very close. It's 1.6 something, but it's very close to the golden ratio, which I'm going to talk about next. Another point that he makes, Damyan makes, is that there is like a sinusoidal movement that represents first germination and then sprouting within the seed, which is the seed which is sown in the first day of spring, to the pentagram. So let me explain again these tonalities. So we have awakening, and so the first 3 songs we have, they're all in A minor, right? And their durations. And then we have, so this starts in a minor scale and switches to a major scale, both A major and D major. So when it starts after this 19th measure, it's 175 measures up to this point, we continue in a major scale, but we come back in a minor scale. So this point here is the point of sprouting. It's the moment when the little seed breaks through the soil and sees the sun. Okay? Until that point, everything is dark, everything is gloomy. This is like the 22nd of December, but it's yearning the sun. It's working towards the sun. So this is the point at which this becomes ponikvane, which is actually sprouting. So it goes from germination to sprouting. So the figure here is the one of clapping, right? This is the point of clapping. So when you clap, so there is that upward movement. So that is the point at which the seed that we have sown so far, we've germinated it, now it's starting to sprout and goes back to through these minor to a minor scale. There is a quote here from a lecture that was given on 6th of January 1924, but I kept it at the end. So this is about the interrelations among all of the manifestations in nature, and I'll come back to that at the end.
Nevenka, I have a
Yes.
question.
Yes, please.
I don't
I can't hear you, Michaela. I don't know if others can hear you.
I ask you, Nevenka.
Yes, please go ahead.
You hear me? Yes.
Huh?
I didn't understand the meaning of this number 19. What is related to in the previous there is 19. I don't understand. I didn't get what is this 19 related to.
Okay, let me go and find it. So it's in the opening. It's in the opening. So there is a measure 19. So if these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So in this measure, we switch, when we dance Paneurhythmy, we switch from the right. We are opening. I need to maybe show this. But until that point, in the opening, we're opening with the right hand, right? So we step forward and we are opening, step forward with the right foot and with the right leg. Until that point, there are 18 measures of doing that. In the 19th measure, we switch and we start to step forward with the left foot and we open the left arm. So that's why that measure 19 is like a switch of the energies. Okay?
Thank you very much.
Yeah, but thank you so much of asking, because I internalized it, but I needed to actually demonstrate. Yeah, thank you. So that's a very pivotal point, and there is something about the number 19 and numerology of 19, because as Damyan pointed out, 19 is, the master comes in the 19th century. 19th of August is our spiritual new year, and so on. There are many connections with the number 19. But I want to go back and talk a little bit. I'm going to share my screen again.
Also,
Yes.
9 and 1 make 10. So we're coming back to the beginning, to 1,
Yes.
when you're calculating in numerology. So that's another aspect of the number 19.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And when we come back to 1, we come back to God. We come back to our oneness, right? We come back to the sun. So that's an important step to talk about. But here, so I'll jump a little bit ahead and then I'll go back. So the awakening has 40 measures, reconciliation has 30 measures, giving has 34, ascending, elevating, opening, I think they all have 41 measures. But in the opening, there is that measure 19 when we switch, and then there are 22 measures when we are opening with the left arm. And then, of course, there is the liberation and clapping. But there is something else that's happening, and that is in the purification, what we sing is actually the song from the awakening. So 1 and 9 are related. Okay, so this is 9 goes to 1, and 10, the song for flying, is the same as the reconciliation. So 10 goes to 2. And then in the pentagram, exactly the same thing is happening. Actually, in the pentagram, if we have all of these numbering of the people, let's say that these numbers represent people. So here 10 goes to 2, and then in the second round 1 goes to 9. Okay, so there 9 goes to 1 and 10 comes back to 2. So in a way, there is that kind of a very conceptual relationship between the pentagram and the first day of spring. For the rest, all these numbers, I will come back when I explain a little bit the golden ratio. But before I come back to the golden ratio, I want to say something else here, which is a big point that Damyan has made, which is when we dance the awakening, okay? Think of it, think of the movement that we make in the awakening, right? We make this movement, and we are all in a big circle. So when we make this movement, and we are going counterclockwise, the left hand points to the center. So because the hands of all these people in the circle point to the center, imagine we are actually creating all the radii. Each one of us is drawing a radius towards the center. And if you have like an imagination for all these people creating all of this, with this movement, if we project the energies from the right hand, they go to the universe. They go everywhere. So in a way, when we do the awakening together, it's as if we are recreating the sun. This is my interpretation now, okay? So imagine how powerful that is. And also these energies that we tap into are on one hand, if we think about that, all the radii, it goes to infinity, but we are also tapping and touching the divine, right? The divine realm, because it goes well above our hands. And there is another point, which is when we do this, and then we go to reconciliation, we make these hyperbolas and we go forward, but we are still in this plane. It's as if we are making a heart movement, right? It's we describe it like that, right? So this part of the heart is, think of it as the heart, but it's upside down. There is a nice drawing which I'm gonna go back to later on. But the interesting thing also with the energies, so now we have started and we are working, we are mostly in this plane. We are working quite a bit with the heart chakra, with the 4th chakra. So we are in Paneurhythmy, and imagine
Excuse me, Nevenka, are you possibly talking about the thymus? There's a,
Thymus, sorry. Thyroid is here and thymus is here. Yes, you're right. Yeah. Thymus is here.
the thyroid. Thyroid is the
Thyroid
neck.
is here, in like the front of the neck, just
Yeah.
below the vocal cord. And the thymus, you're right. The thymus, which is connected with the immunity, is in our chest between the lungs. Thymus. Thank you so much, Steve. Thank you. I'm too excited, I think. Okay. So the first three movements, we are kind of working at this level, and it's almost like we are creating space to go from the physical to the spiritual world. And we are mostly, because we are working with our hands and we're working with the heart chakra, but then something magical happens in the fourth and the fifth exercise with the elevation, because now we start to raise our hands, first one hand at a time, and then with the elevation both. So imagine when a circle of people does this together. So now when we raise both hands and imagine that there is energy coming out of us, we are sending that to the universe. Okay? And I know if people are attuned, maybe you understand this very intuitively, but sometimes someone needs to tell you this, what you're doing. And this is also a point at which I want to invite people, when you dance Paneurhythmy, to concentrate, but also to experience these things. And maybe you'll have a different insight. And I'd love to hear, and please share it with people. But now, with lifting of the hands in the fourth and the fifth exercise, the elevation, because we are reaching for the stars, we created this almost like a cylinder that goes towards the sun. So imagine how much more powerful is when we imagine we're doing these together. So that's why when sometimes people say, I don't know if I'm gonna come to Paneurhythmy, I'm busy, I'm this, I'm that, I'm like, you're not dancing Paneurhythmy just for yourself. You're dancing with others to create this effect together. So it's quite an important thing. And then another observation that he made was when we do the third exercise, which is the giving and the receiving. When you give, your hands are pointing to the person ahead of you in the circle, right? And you give, and everybody gives, and the person who's behind you, so that whole gift comes back to you. Isn't that magical? Isn't that amazing to imagine that all of this is happening at the same time? To me, it's absolutely magnificent, absolutely amazing that there is so much encoded in Paneurhythmy. So symbolically you're giving, but you're also receiving all of these blessings. Okay, so let me go back to these beautiful drawings. I hope I'm doing at least a little bit of justice of how much he has said in that lecture, and he quoted many of the lectures. But the one thing that he also spoke is the golden ratio and how it's encoded throughout the Paneurhythmy, and especially in these measures. Okay, so let's go back to what is the golden ratio. And it's denoted by, it's a number, okay? It's an irrational number. It's actually an infinite number. it's called golden section, golden mean, golden number, divine proportion, golden proportion, etc. So how do we obtain that? So we take a square, and now we divide the base of the square in half and draw a line to one of the opposite corners. And then this line, you know, if you go by the Pythagorean rule, is square root of 5 over 2. And if you draw another line, which is the same length, it's like projecting here. And if you draw a rectangle, so this a rectangle, then we've extended the square to be the rectangle with the golden ratio. Okay, so this golden ratio exists in nature. Like sometimes you see these patterns in flowers, in different sea creatures and so on. They're close. They're not like absolutely perfect, but this seems to be like a repeating pattern in nature. Somebody actually found golden ratio in Mona Lisa and even the pentagram, as you can see in the Mona Lisa painting. This can be a lecture on its own. And as you can see here, if you continue to draw these rectangles, you go and you describe a golden ratio rectangle around Mona Lisa. There is a golden ratio in the pentagram itself. So if we take a ray from here to here, this ratio of A over B is 1.6. Ratio from here to here is also 1.6. Ratio C to this, so this length versus this length is also 1.6. So isn't that amazing that the pentagram itself, which is the crown of Paneurhythmy, contains this golden ratio. So now, how do we arrive at this? So there is again the golden ratio of 175 measures that start from 1 to 5, from first to fifth exercise, and just 175 over the first 3, because they're all in a minor scale. Actually, it's 1.6 something. It's not to the second and third decimal. But then we are working here with numbers that we create, right? And then the second, from opening, so from that 9th measure onwards to the end is again 104 movements. So when we divide 174 by 104, it's again 1.6 something. So it's very close to that phi, that golden ratio. And in total, there is like 349, which is again 3, 4, and 9, and numerologically we can break that down. But here in a circle, and I think I have it right here, in a circle, it's actually explained. Okay, so we have the A minor for the 3 first exercises, then we have A major. So from here to here, again, it's the 104 when you count all of these numbers. And then ascending and elevating, which is A major. If we omit that, so we have the golden ratio.
Excuse me, Nevenka,
Yes,
these numbers
please.
are the number of the steps, isn't it?
They're the number of the measures.
Of the measures.
Measures, yes. So when we teach Paneurhythmy, we teach the measures. Sometimes there are 2 steps in a measure. Sometimes I think there are even 3. Three steps. But it's a very nice way of encoding a whole cycle of 10 songs in beautiful mathematical framework, which actually has a golden ratio. To me, that just signifies the beauty. And then the other thing here for the first day of spring is that 9 and 1 are related in music, meaning the purification and awakening. It's the same music. And also here that the flying and reconciliation are related. So that relationship is more of the feminine quality, and this relationship is more of the masculine quality, or this relationship is the one that is that energy flow that goes up towards the sun, and this is the energy flow that brings all the goodies from the sun down to the planet.
And Nevenka, it's interesting you talk about the masculine and feminine energies, because the masculine energies are odd and the feminine energies are even. 2 and 10 are even numbers, 1 and 9 are odd numbers.
That's a very nice observation. Yeah. But they're the principles, and while they represent principles, I think within all of us we are developing both principles, right? And we work with both types of energy. So again, here when we represent it in this way, I want to point out that in the clapping exercise, we are releasing energy, we clap, hands go up, and that's like the sprouting moment. So from all of this germination, this is the part when the sprouting, meaning sprouting, which then will become the fruit of the spirit in the pentagram. He has drawn this beautiful thing. I redrew it because many of these are in Bulgarian. I think what he has said is that the root, meaning that energy flow that is going towards the earth, is the root. It's in the left, encoded by the start with the left foot, and then the trunk and the leaves and the flowers are in the first part, in the upper portion of the first day of spring. There is another thing that's happening here, that when you draw a pentagram, inside the pentagram there is another pentagram. And now, why is this important? It's important because while with the pentagram we're moving up, so we have this kind of and as we know, pentagram, also Leonardo drew the pentagram person within a circle. The head is pointing upwards. This pentagram is actually focused towards the earthly activities, which then support the entire pentagram towards these activities towards the divine. And this is the heart that I was explaining of the pentagram, which is when we have the 10 people dancing, right? The 5 couples, when we have changes between the first pentagram and the second and the third and the fourth, usually, so we have, this is the left leg, this is the left arm, the head, right leg, and right arm right here. So the changes between every single iteration over the pentagram is from here, from the right leg, you go to, from the left leg, you become a head. From head, you become the right leg, right? And then when you draw these, and then of course the left arm becomes the right arm becomes left leg, and the right leg becomes the left arm. All the while, we're actually exchanging those virtues. Remember, I showed the nice diagram here. I had it somewhere here. Exchanging the virtues, meaning when we walk here from the left arm to the right arm, we are walking the yellow ray of wisdom. We're exchanging all these virtues. Then right arm to the left leg, we're walking the path of the orange ray of virtue. When we go towards the head from left leg, we are walking the blue ray of truth, and then we're walking the green ray of justice when we go from head to right leg, and then we are walking the pink ray of love from right leg to left arm. So now, if we draw it the way Damyan has drawn them, when you see here, there is quite a nice heart shape. Okay, so it's a very, very nice observation that he has made. There is something else here about the pentagram and the golden ratio. So a circle has 360 degrees, right? So that's a full thing. And now these angles between the rays are 72 degrees. So 72 plus 72 is 144. It's the also the degree, when you subtract that from 360 is 216. And this ratio is also 1.6. So in a way, pentagram encodes the golden ratio in yet another way. We already talked about these ratios in the first 5 songs, and then the second half of the first day of spring, that these are golden ratio. And next, what I would like to end with is these relationships between the manifestations in nature. This is from a lecture that the master gave on January 6th, 1924. So what is said here is he gave this drawing. So this sign is the sign of infinity. Okay, so this drawing, the line AB in the diagram represents the path traveled by the, let's move that, by a rational being. The path of consciousness is C. Okay, so this is the path that goes. So it's actually a path that goes from the sun to the earth, goes downward, right? This consciousness, So the spirit, after completing its journey from A to B with nowhere further to go, turns back and then takes the direction towards the point D, forming a right angle. Okay, so the point about these energies that we drew a few slides back is that they're spiral energies, because when that divine energy comes down, it has nowhere to go but come back up again in a spiral form. So consciousness is characterized by the fact that when it reaches its endpoint in movement, it begins to form a spiral around itself. However, since consciousness moves eternally from point D, it goes in the opposite direction to point P, forming another right angle. Since consciousness has weakened in the second movement, the circle at P is slightly smaller. Can you explain why the circle is larger in one direction of movement and smaller in the other? This is a condition that exists within nature itself. And here, the connection that Damyan made is when we dance the first day of spring, in the first three movements, or the first two movements, it feels like the circle is bigger. Why? Because we open our hands. We open both of them at the same time. So if you look from above, it's as if the circle becomes bigger. And then in the fourth and fifth movement, when it's ascending and elevation, it's as if the circle is smaller, but it's exactly the same circle, but it's manifesting these, it's manifesting in a different way. So this is a condition that exists within nature itself. The line AB, which expresses the path of your consciousness, is also the line of your nose. It signifies the ultimate limit of human intelligence, and so on and so on. The lecture continues. So I don't know if I was able to convey all of these different high-level concepts, but this is really important. And one other thing that I wanted to point out is that the master says that the spirit always chooses the shortest and the gentlest path. In the movements of Paneurhythmy, this can be seen in the way the right and left hands move in spirals, like in the energy flows that you just saw. In reality, this spiral is not two-dimensional, but actually three-dimensional. It moves like a torus, containing way all colors and all musical tones. At this moment, the spirit facing the boundary of matter begins to soften its resistance by giving it part of its energy. Thus, in the right part of the body, which is connected to the divine, the spirit expands consciousness and opens the path to evolution. Also, the master adds that the line expressing the path of consciousness is also connected to human physiology, the nose. For example, represents the boundary of the intellect. And then in Paneurhythmy, this boundary in the first day of spring manifests in the 19th measure, when the movement reaches its limit and must transition into a new form, a spiral. So this is, to me, very intense and very, very deep realization. The connection between this lecture and Paneurhythmy, and the fact that the spirit always works more intensely on the right side of the body to open the way to the divine, while the left side remains more introverted and associated with the internal work within us. So this is why when moving to the right, the circle is larger. When moving to the left, so say in opening, the 6th exercise, we open our arm to the right, and then the circle looks bigger. We open to the left, and then the circle looks smaller. So this is why when moving to the right, the circle is larger, and when moving to the left, it's smaller. This balance between expansion and contraction, between matter and spirit, is deeply embedded in the structure of Paneurhythmy and symbolizes the eternal rhythm of life and evolution. So, thank you. For now, this is what I've prepared. And this, as I said, will be just an introduction to a lecture that Damyan will give. He has drawn all of these very nice figures and synthesized the meaning. So this is the first day of spring and all of the words. And the fact is that he figured out that there are 41 verses from the 1st to the 5th exercise, and another 41 verses from the 6th to the 10th. And there is something else that he talks about, the number 41. So both number 19 and 41 are actually prime numbers. They're not divisible by any other number. And that's why, so when you are there, when you are in 19, don't touch it. It's sacred, it's whole, it's not divisible by any other number. So there is a lot of other symbolism with the Bожествен свят, that's the spiritual, the divine world, and the физический, it's the physical world, and there is a lot that he has given, and there is also this symbol that you have seen on the color rays of light. So it's the flying eye or the flying sun, depends on the interpretation. So we'll talk about this. This needs to be, translated and so on, but it's such a beautiful encoding of the Paneurhythmy, first day of spring. There is something else here. You can see the human being. You can see the human being here. It's a standing person. Towards us, heart is on the left side. And what's interesting is the master was 165 centimeters tall. And, the thing is, when we open our arms, it's as if there are 4 sections. So 1/4 each. If there are 41 centimeters times 4, that's 164, very close to 165. So when we do these exercises, one step actually forward for this height is 41 centimeters also. So that's the length of one step. So they're all very, very interconnected and very well thought out and connected to this symbol of 41. So he'll talk about that. and this is the divine and the spiritual world, meaning the word and the music. And then we'll talk again about the symbolism, and we'll talk again about the pentagram, but I will leave all of that to him. Any comments? I wish he was here, and I hope you were also able to tap into these very deep observations, very deep insights.
Well, Nevenka, this has been an incredible, mind-blowing, heart-opening experience. And I think it's wonderful that you have given this introduction today, because I'm sure when Damyan gives this, it'll be so overpowering that without your introduction, it might be difficult to follow. But I'm absolutely fascinated. I haven't been able to absorb everything you've said, but it's just obviously there's so much to study. One can go deeper and deeper and further. And it takes an outstanding being, like a highly evolved being like Damyan, to actually discover it all and make it all available for us. So I feel, particularly with our gathering in Brazil in September, when we're going to be focusing on the pentagram and the unity between the three, I want to send this lecture ahead of time so that people in South America, and I'm so glad that there are subtitles in Spanish and Polish as well as English.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I feel this is a tremendous new opening. And I really thank you for your enthusiasm and insight into spotting this and connecting deeply with Damyan so that you could begin to open it all up for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Ardella. You summed it up much better than I could have summed it up. To me, it's like opening another door, opening another page into Paneurhythmy. When I dance Paneurhythmy, I try in every single dance, I yearn to discover something new. Before dancing, I pray that some idea comes to me that has not occurred to me before. And I have a few observations that I just experience, but I keep it to myself. But also, I think this is a way that people should share their experiences. You know, Damyan has made many connections between the lectures of the master. Like you said, he's a very evolved human being. I think he's a Jedi master. He's one of them. You know, someone who can go rescue people in the mountain and go back in the dark, and then the next day he serves and helps others in the camp and puts a smile and sings and dances and everything. So that's how we should all be. But I think it also underscores the importance of reading the word, reading the lectures of the master, analyzing them, deeply understanding, and making these connections. Because I don't even think I made half the justice of what he has encoded in this lecture. And we'll find these quotes and lectures and so on. I encouraged him, if he can think of publishing a book about this with many explanations, go step by step, because it will help people understand what Paneurhythmy is about, help them appreciate, because people come to Paneurhythmy with enthusiasm. They dance a few times and then somehow it becomes like, okay, Paneurhythmy, right? So when you understand deeply how much you are benefiting when you're tapping into this energy flow together with other people, and we are benefiting from each other in the circle, then, when it's the day to go to Paneurhythmy and you have 10,000 other things, it's like you drop everything and you just go. I think it's very important to have this level of understanding, to be motivated, but also when you're at this level of consciousness and when you're dancing, that kind of sacred feeling increases. And when a sacred feeling is within you, I call it the atomic bomb of love. it just it's spread around the world, just like in the awakening. These rays that we are sending, they're radial and they go all around the planet, all around the universe, and bringing all of that together in 1 hour. I mean, I think it's a real genius. The genius.
It doesn't have to be an atomic bomb. It can be the sun. It can be the sun.
Yeah, I think of maybe it's a horrible analogy, but
the atomic bomb is
that kind of a mushroom, that kind of power, because it really changes something within you.
Yeah. Well, the sun is an even greater power, and it's positive and life-giving.
Yes.
But I get so discouraged. I teach Paneurhythmy. I try to help people to get into the inner meaning and depth, and then they come, and as you say, it just becomes a rote. They just do the movements, but there's no spiritual perceptiveness and insight coming. And I've been quite encouraged recently. I've been starting again teaching a very small group here in my home. But the most encouraging thing is that it's not so much the newcomers who've been coming, but people who've been dancing for years, because they're inspired by, again, opening to the inner meaning and symbolism of Paneurhythmy. So having danced the movement for years and getting bored with the movements, now they're awakening to the fact that it's more than just movements, far more than just movements.
Yeah.
I just want to say something.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, Nevenka. I just want to say that we should remind ourselves all the time when we're dancing that actually this is not a man kind of created dance. It was in Bulgarian, it is беше свален от горе. I'm not sure how to.
Above.
It's brought from above.
From
and
world.
Exactly. So I always try to remember that when I come to, as you said, oh, I'm so busy, and when you're dancing, sometimes I catch myself thinking about what is the next thing I'm going to do, and then realizing what I'm thinking, I was like, no, this is wrong. Just be here now and try to make that connection with the divine. And there is one more thing that I always try to remember too, is that one of the students, the master sent him on the mountain for a few days, and he said, you have to go there and you'll come back in a few days, but you have to tell me what did you experience. And he said when he came back that he actually saw a circle of angels or divine beings dancing above the people that were dancing on the physical realm. So it's not just us dancing, but they're divine beings that are dancing
Thank you. Yeah,
with us, and they're trying to connect with us and influence us in a beautiful way. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for reminding us. That's true. That we feel that presence. I sometimes, when I dance in Central Park, especially, I feel the presence of Sister Licia, who actually inherited the circle from Ardella, who started the circle in New York. And I feel some of those people, and I'm sure there are many higher angels that I don't know their physical form, are with us when we do that, because something changes in the perception of how everything is in Central Park after the dance. So.
And actually, that spot in Central Park was chosen because, I forget now, but there's an angel.
Yes.
There's
angel of healing waters. Yes.
Yeah. And I also remember on one occasion in Poland, I was teaching Paneurhythmy to a group, and there was a parallel group doing something else, actually with Gilbert Renaud. And Gilbert loves the Paneurhythmy, so he got his group to come and dance with our group. And so he had his group who'd never learned Paneurhythmy or danced it before, dancing with our group. At the end, several of his group came up to me and said, I can hear the angels singing as we dance.
Yeah, totally. Beautiful, beautiful. Any other observations or something someone wants to share? Well, I thought it would be actually great to finish with at least one cycle of the music, which is the pentagram.
Nevenka, would it be appropriate for me just to correct something at this point?
Yes, please go ahead.
The lyrics of the pentagram were written by Peter Pamparov, who was a leading disciple of the master and really activated and focalized his teaching, in the south of Bulgaria. The Vesela Nestorova composed the lyrics for the sunbeams, not for the pentagram.
Thank you for pointing out.
Olga Slavcheva started, but wasn't able to finish. Now, Vesela composed again from scratch the lyrics for all three sections in English. They're not a translation of the Bulgarian.
Yes,
they're original.
From scratch,
and
yes.
she worked very closely with the master. She was deeply connected with the master, even helping him with his own inspiration. If you look in my book, all this is explained in the middle section, which is on the music and the lyrics.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for pointing that
The
out.
lyrics in Bulgarian were from
you know, what's interesting is
Olga Sabcheva for the first part,
yeah,
Vesla Nestrova for the sunbeams, and Peter Pamparov for the pentagram in Bulgarian. In English, the whole thing was by Vesla Nestrova.
But here we are coming, radiant beams of light. We are bringing the kindness, but we are bringing joy, peace, and love. Light and living beauty. We're bringing freedom to all of the razumni souls, all of the sublime souls, and so on. So I will play it just once, and let's finish this call with this song.
Thank you again for...
Thank you all for joining. Thank you so much. And I hope this inspires you to experience Paneurhythmy in this season in a new way, and also come back and join and share your experience. So with love and light, I love you all. And I hope to see you next time. I'll play the song and I'll...
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Sorry, I need to start from beginning. Okay. And of course, I would like to thank Damyan for bringing all of this to us from a different world and from a deep love towards the spiritual and the divine, and all of these lectures, and bringing down even more the beauty of Paneurhythmy. So thank you again. Thank you all, and I'll see you next time. Love you. Bye.